What's happening, everybody? I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight. Recently, the fact checkers at CNN decided to fact check former President Donald Trump and the presumptive Republican nominee. Recently, in a statement, former President Donald Trump said, quote, George Washington probably didn't own slaves, close quote. So let's get down to the essence of this according to CNN. Former President Donald Trump delivered another litany of false claims during two speeches on Saturday, and he expressed an opinion on American history that is clearly contradicted by the facts. Now, let me just say this before I read the article from CNN. Historically, everyone knows, and I've done my research thoroughly, the founding fathers of this nation were slave owners, period. Now let's get down to the essence of the story. During a speech to the Faith and Freedom Coalition, a conservative Christian group, whatever, Trump criticized proposals to change the names of schools, military facilities, and other places that honor slave owners and Confederate leaders. Under President Joe Biden, the Army has renamed 9 installations that have been named for Confederate generals. And Trump said, quote, how about George Washington High School? We want the name removed from that school. They don't know why. You know, they thought he had slaves. Actually, I think he probably didn't, close quote. Let that sink in for a minute. So, according to CNN, facts first. Washington owned slaves. This is an extensively documented fact. At the time of Washington's death in 1799, there were 317 enslaved people at Mount Vernon, his home and plantation in Virginia, including 123 people owned by Washington himself. George Washington owned slaves. We know this by his own hand. He kept ledgers on everyone he enslaved. Said Alexis Cole, a senior fellow at the think tank New America and author of You Never Forget Your First, a biography of George Washington, quote, close quote. Cole said, it is reprehensible on a personal level to deny such a thing, and also dangerous to our country to have a leading presidential candidate espousing such inaccurate views on U.S. history. The website for Mount Vernon, which is now maintained as a historic place, says that the number of slaves at the property grew steadily over Washington's time there from 1754 to 1799. And this is one of the main reasons why a lot of individuals, including myself, I'm an independent registered voter. And it is inconceivable and hard for me to come to the conclusion to vote for Donald Trump. I just can't do it. Knowing the things that I know and the type of researching that I have done. And people, you need to take the time to sit down and think for yourselves. I am appalled by the slogan, blacks for Trumps. What the hell kind of statement is that? If we're supposed to be Americans, I don't see anything that says whites for Trump. So why does it have to be blacks for Trump? People are just registered voters, period, be they black or white. And I have found out a lot of people just don't want to read. They don't want to study. They don't want to take the time to research. And Trump supporters are so thin-skinned, they get upset every time you say anything negative about their candidate. He is not a Messiah. He is not Almighty God. He is not Jesus Christ. He is a man. I will fact check Biden on his past, from his plagiarism and to the racist statements and things that he has made in the past. I will cover him on this program as well. Nobody gets a pass. Everyone must be held accountable for their own shame and their own sins. If the policies that the Republicans were espousing were different, then I would have a different opinion. I'm not going to vote for people that support the KKK. I'm not voting for a party that thinks that the Patriot Boys are wonderful people and that the KKK are wonderful people. Can't do it, won't do it. Now let's get back to this article. The website for Mount Vernon, which is now maintained as a historical place, says that the number of slaves at the property grew steadily over Washington's time there from 1754 to 1799. Washington inherited 10 slaves from his father at age 11. The Mount Vernon website notes that as a young man, Washington purchased dozens of enslaved people from estate sales and in private transactions, and that the first U.S. president also rented slaves from others, inherited them from siblings, and enslaved the children who were born to slaves at Mount Vernon. When he married his wife Martha, the website notes, he also gained control of a large number of enslaved people from the estate of her first husband. Now, let me interject this here. When I hear people tell me, speaking on behalf of my African ancestors who were slaves, just get over it, well, how about this? Why don't you tell some of the other people of ethnic origins who have suffered atrocities that were horrendous to get over it? You know why you won't tell that to them? Because you know they will bring the very thunder down on top of your head, along with the entire house. But when it comes to black people, people think we just supposed to walk away. Forget about the enslaved history of my ancestors. Forget about the hideous treatment that they received. Forget about Jim Crow. Want us to forget about the KKK. Forget about all the shame and humiliation that our people had to endure in this country. I may have respect for other ethnic people and their origins and their suffrage because I study history, but I'm not going to negate the fact that my own people who endured such horrendous suffrage in this nation is not going to be ignored. The list of 317 enslaved people at Mount Vernon at the time of his death included 41 people rented from other plantations and 153 people from Martha's first husband's estate. Washington privately struggled with the idea of slavery, and in the last 2 decades of his life expressed private support for the idea of abolishing slavery by legislation. But when he died, he immediately freed just one person in his will, his longtime manservant, and decreed that the other slaves he owned would be freed upon the death of his wife, Martha. She ended up signing a deed to free all of his remaining slaves the year after his death, but she kept the slaves she had inherited herself. It's a damn shame here. Here are just some of the other false claims Trump made in the speech to the Christian conservative group or in his rally speech Saturday night in Philadelphia. Trump claimed Democrats rigged the 2020 presidential election, his usual debunked lie. Trump claimed every legal scholar wanted Roe versus Wade overturned and the power to set abortion policy returned to individual states, which is not true. Trump claimed just about all the Democrats also wanted Roe overturned and abortion policy set by states, though Democrats overwhelmingly supported the preservation of Roe. Trump claimed there are states that allow the execution of babies after birth, though that is illegal in every state. Trump claimed that the U.S. has record inflation, though the current inflation rate, 3.3% in May, is nowhere near the U.S. record 23.7% in 2020, or even the 40-year high of 91% that was hit in June 2022. Trump claimed the price of bacon has increased by 100% or more under Biden, though the Biden era increase is actually about 17% as of May. Trump claimed Biden was the person who indicted him in the New York criminal case in which he was convicted on 34 felony counts, though a grand jury of ordinary citizens indicted him, and the prosecution was led by a local district attorney who does not report to the federal government. Trump claimed the global prison population is way down under Biden because foreign leaders are emptying their detention facilities, to send people to the U.S. as migrants. But the global prison population is actually up since 2021, and there is no proof of Trump's repeated claim about foreign leaders' actions. Trump claimed in Venezuela is down 72%, though the limited available numbers show a much smaller decline, about 26%. Trump claimed crime in the U.S. is so much up, though preliminary statistics show U.S. crime dropped significantly in 2023 and again in the first quarter of 2024. Trump claimed he had been indicted more than notorious gangster Al Capone, though Capone was actually indicted more than Trump. Trump claimed China paid the entire cost of his tariffs on imported Chinese goods and that American people didn't pay for it at all. Though study after study has found that Americans paid the overwhelming majority of the cost of the tariffs or tax. Trump claimed the Biden administration is trying to require Army tanks to be all electric till the military's move toward electric vehicles to not include tanks. Trump told a story in which he claimed someone told him that non-electric tanks do not have to stop when driving from New York to Los Angeles, though they do. And this is one of the main reasons why I'm impartial. Because, ladies and gentlemen, think for yourselves. I'm Tyrone Bowman. Never surrender. Never quit.